Hello.
Morning,
Right.
Morning.
morning.
Welcome to another edition of the Vidcast. Somehow we're still going. There's some small demand for these, so we're keeping it going.
I think we've actually boosted our viewers. So Ian last week helped us. He brought 7 people, so we've now got 27.
We're really pushing the boundaries.
We're trending.
We are. Exactly.
This week Thames Water, next week the world. So I think we've lost track of how many of these we've done, but about 15 weeks or so in, aren't we? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Very happy to be joined by Andy Brearley from Lanes. Thanks for joining us. We'll get into sort of all of the stuff. We've got lots of questions we'd like to ask you, but just as we were chatting off air, we realised what you'd done to get onto this call in time. So here you are.
Oh God, I'm in my hotel in Heathrow, so I've just literally come off a call, dived into this salubrious boardroom in the hotel that the people have kindly given me here, and then I'm off to the office in Slough, into the Customer Solutions Centre for another meeting there.
Bless you, thank you. Really appreciate you.
That's some commitment. I mean, we're in our bedrooms and our houses, so that is some commitment.
Yeah,
it is a bit worrying. It is a bit worrying, Apple. I can see some kind of football shirts in the background. And they don't look like Manchester United. I'm a little bit concerned there.
Thank God, another Man U fan.
It's totally an illusion, it's all an illusion.
Burns my eyes.
It's a challenge. I've actually worn a different Arsenal top or a Arsenal top in every single one of these. So I'm planning to keep it. Yeah, exactly. That's been my biggest achievement of 2020 because that's the type of year it's been. So Andy, talking about sort of 2020, and also I suppose just for those who don't know what you do and what Lanes do you want to just give a quick brief kind of intro?
Tell us what
that'd be great. So Lanes Group we work nationally, but in a Thames domain, we work collaboratively with the wastewater team. So the Thames wastewater team and our teams work in one office with lots of regional outlets, and essentially we manage the network. So we manage 109,000 kilometres of pipe, lots of pumping stations. Within that region, which is about 5,000 square miles, we have 15 million customers, as many will know, and we complete about 1,400 jobs a day, and it's huge. When it rains, our work increases by about 22%, and we evidence the work we do by taking about 19,000 photographs a day. We travel to the moon, so just driving around, seeing our customers, we travel to the moon around about 16 to 17 times there and back each year. So there's some really good stats just to give you an idea of it. The gargantuan network is huge. It's old. It's Victorian. We've got the capital of London. We've got the suburbs and surrounding areas. So and home counties. It's a big challenge. Doesn't get any bigger than Thames.
It doesn't. You mentioned the weather there and the rain, and obviously we've had a couple of weeks of really, really bad weather, including a couple of storms. How has that impacted you guys?
It's been horrific, absolutely horrific. I mean, we're used to these. We generally get about 6 to 8 inclement days a year, so where we get really, really heavy rainfall, and we kind of measure that level at about in excess of 20 millimetres. Storm Alex gave us 2 consecutive days of over 63 millimetres. Which is the wettest day ever, I believe, has been recorded on the bounce. And prior to that was Brexit Day, which I think was the 25th, 26th of June 16. So it's been the wettest we've had for quite some time. But it's come down. And we've coped really, really well. It's just been very busy. But people have stepped up. And even in the times that we're in, these strange times, it's been really good to test the people in an event, working from home, test the IT, test the policies and procedures and standards. Did we align to our processes, and did we ultimately serve our customers?
And how did it go? From your side, because with our call centres and lots of other big businesses, there's been a lot of moving people to work from home. and a lot of that specialist IT contact center sort of stuff they'd have, or even just using Teams. Things are different, aren't they? And did you find it was, have you got some learning from it, or did it all go brilliantly? Sort of, how did you find it the last couple of weeks?
I think the last couple of weeks and prior to that, I think where we've learned a lot is we kind of shuffled everybody off to work from home that generally worked in the contact centre, and we had a really good close management in terms of well-being and support. Thames Water found a brilliant system for working from home called Horizon, which meant that all of our VPN systems, so our job management system and our GIS tracking, mapping, and all that other good stuff, customer information, was able to be captured in a home environment. So that worked really well. What we didn't see was the length of the pandemic. So we kind of just thought, oh, it'll be all right. It'll be maybe 3 months. We'll risk assess it and we'll go with that. What I've had to do in the last month, luckily before Storm Alex, is procure dual monitors for all our staff at home, and look at it more as a longer term scenario rather than a short term scenario. Because again, they as a scheduler and a planner, and they've got multiple screens open. So it's fine for us today on a laptop or whatever, or a single screen. When you're planning and scheduling with volume, you need visibility of what's going on.
When it's all kicking off, you need to be able to sort of...
You've got vehicle tracking, you've got planning, scheduling tools, you've got photographs coming in, you've got your well-being of your engineers, you've got, job management systems and customer information and phone calls coming in. The systems have been good. The phone system, we managed to route to individual schedulers by geographical location. And it's worked. Everyone's worked really well. I'm really proud of everybody. I am.
That's lovely to hear. Yeah, I think like everyone, like that. We all thought at the start, didn't we? A couple of months, 3 months max, and that, I think everyone's found that is constantly having to sort of rejig your own mindset, as well as the processes you need to put in place. It's actually a mindset thing, isn't it? That there may not be. There's like a moving end date that we don't really know, isn't there? And we've got to get used to different ways of working. Sorry, Akil, I spoke over you.
No, and what I mean, those sort of our colleagues that are out on the ground and are going places and stuff, how's the pandemic affected them? I mean, we had Steve Spencer on and a couple of months ago, and he was talking about how it did change the way our ops, had to work. For example, things like, using the same van, sitting in the same seat, all that kind of stuff. It was really, we had to really think as a business. I presume it was the same for you guys.
Yeah. We the most important thing is we followed government guidelines.
Yeah.
So we had that clarity as much as we could. So we had Thames Water followed government guidelines. We aligned to Thames anyway, regardless on everything. So we followed government guidelines, and that bit was fine from a process and policy perspective. The one thing we did really well was communicated well. Not many businesses do this, but we absolutely nailed our comms. Out there in the field, 1,500 people, got text messages, videos, lines for support, line managers doing extra field visits, really showing empathy in caring for our people. So that bit went really well, and I'm really, really pleased with what we did there. The bit we struggled with was the fear of the teams out there. So when the pandemic in its early stages initially surfaced, people were just worried about, as you say, sitting in vehicles next to each other. There was this whole debate around masks. We were trying to source PPE, hand sanitizer, because we had to continue working. Right, we had to still do those 1,000 jobs a day. Our dynamic shifted. Interestingly, we got 18% more productivity.
Really?
With the reduced traffic in London and the network.
Yeah, you get into jobs quicker, I guess.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Massive shift in productivity. But people were scared. And we just had to reassure them and be there for our people. And if people had anxiety or couldn't cope with it, we ensured that we had people on standby to cope and support them.
And this is a big question, but how do you keep everyone motivated? Because it's a big job, and it's pretty relentless as well. When we hear about it on the Thames patch, certainly. But I mean, how do you keep your teams motivated?
That is a big question.
It's a big question.
That is a big question.
Maybe it's a bit too big for this early in the morning, but let's try it.
That is a big question. That is a big question. I'm going to answer it in 17 parts.
Go for it.
I'll pick out some highlights. I think the first thing is the pride. So to work for Thames Water, we all feel proud. To serve the capital and home counties, we feel proud. So that has a huge benefit, and that reverberates right across the business, and it's fantastic. I think if you look at, we do a lot of work in people psychology. We do a lot of work. If you look at any Harvard or Yale review of what makes people tick, what motivates them, why they stay in an organisation, the top three things are, the first thing actually is relationship with your line manager. Okay, that's the most important thing, and that goes. We teach a protocol called the trust triangle. So this talks around within that trust triangle. So your relationship with your line manager is fundamental, and all of us as people looking at our cohort within our cohort, our colleagues or our line manager, we're looking for authenticity, logic. So authenticity: am I myself? Are you yourself? Logic, is what I'm saying making sense to you, to us? So what's the plan for the future? Is this conversation making sense right now? And more importantly, the bottom node of the triangle is empathy. So banishing apathy right across the business, really embracing empathy, showing that we care. You know, do we know the name of the individual's partner? Have they got any children? Where's the favourite place to go on holiday? What is the pet? And we teach that at a line manager level. Really show that you care. Whatever it takes, we really care. We care about the network, we care about our customers, and we care about each other. So we do a lot of psychological training and evaluation on that. All employees go through a DISC, which is a psychometric test, which essentially categorises them into buckets of who we could best suit people to work together. So we've got the right people working together with the right skills and the right mindset.
And do you pair them up sort of deliberately? So you'd have an analytical person with a creative person, and you know that. Yeah,
because if you and I have been paired, and we for whatever reason don't get on, then we're not going to be as productive. We're certainly not going to be as safe, and we're not going to deliver the right level of customer service. So it's fundamental that we've got this happiness thing going all the way through. So going back to the Harvard and Yale review, relationship with my line manager is number one. Number two is the organisational value. So what is our why? Why are we doing this? Is it to make money? Is it to serve our 15 million customers? Is it to be the best and most respected water company on the planet? I guess it's all of them, but we certainly don't look at money as a driver. We look at service. We look at being here for you, being here for them, and being here for each other. So relationship with line manager, organisational values, and then the third one is induction. So how was I welcomed into? So us being organised in our induction, we have to be uber slick in terms of, right, okay, selection process, DISC, we put our people through a grit score, so we're measuring stickability. Can they make it? We can actually predict our leavers when they'll leave, so we can intervene.
Oh wow.
People then go through an induction, and then they're mentored through a 12-week period in the field, competency assessment, sign-off. And then the second stage of answering your question around keeping people motivated, everybody's given a little booklet when they start in their introduction pack, and it's called Pathway to Success. And this essentially is from a rookie trainee through to bronze, silver, gold, platinum. There's a knowledge test and a remuneration link through that. So I haven't had anybody in 4 years since we introduced the plan come to me and say, I want a pay rise, because everybody knows where they're at on their plan. So there's a 360 PDR with their line manager every 6 months, and then we discuss what you need to get to go from bronze to silver and silver to gold. Okay.
Wow. I mean, I'm so blown away by all of what you've just said. It's easy when you stack them up like that to underestimate what it takes to put those things in place, because lots of organisations will do bits of what you've just outlined, but it sounds like you've done an amazing job of actually embedding it and using it to steer your people culture, which a lot of people, again, people talk about it a lot, but I don't know if I've spoken to many people that have done it to that extent. It's really cool.
They don't, Henry. And the other thing that we wanted to get under the skin of was understanding how people feel, and we built an app a couple of years ago because we
your emoji one.
Yeah, the wellbeing app.
Yeah.
So you see them at the airport. They've been around for years. So you walk in the airport, you click how you're feeling, how is the customer service and this, that, and the other. And what those devices have got, they've got a SIM card inside, and they send the results back to the home computer, and it gives you a temperature test of the environment. Okay, but you don't know why. So I go in the airport. Am I unhappy because I couldn't get a parking space, or because the airport isn't glossy enough? You don't sort of get into that granularity. You just get my state of feeling. But we looked at when we went through. Well, what I guess it's important to say how this all started. In 2015, we were losing more people than were joining, so we couldn't attract, and we certainly couldn't retain. So we had to start looking at why we were losing people. Yes, pay is an issue because we pay to a level, so you can earn more driving a lorry for Waitrose and other jobs out there in the market. So it's difficult. We've got to employ the people at the right money. We've got to define finite budget and this, that, and the other. But we've got to sell the other benefits around skills development, training, flexibility, pride, London, all that good stuff.
Culture and yeah.
The family positioning and that good stuff. And we started to measure feeling. We built an app where every engineer's got one of these, the device, and we lock the device down at midnight so it can still take calls. But when the engineer starts work in the morning, the app comes up and the screen is locked, and they have to tell us how they feel. So it's a mandatory scenario. Very unhappy, okay, happy, very happy. Click it, tell us how you feel. The very unhappies and the happies go straight through to our wellbeing practitioner, Kelly, who's a psychologist, trim assessor, and she will deal with that remediation program. So you could be, it was a bit of a Pandora's box, actually, because we didn't know what we were going to get. And but we thought if we could measure feeling, then we knew there was a direct correlation, with customer service and safety. So if you're in the right state of mind, you're happy, you're more likely to be safe, compliant, consistent, and even drive safer and deliver better customer service.
God, when you pulled all this together, it must have been amazing to sort of see all of these different strands kind of start slotting in together, because that's a bit of sort of nudge theory in practice as well. Even just the mandatory having to log in to do that. There's so much sort of. There's even some CBT stuff in there, isn't there? And there's a rich tapestry of stuff you've done there, Andy. That's really cool.
It is, and it looks glossy on the outside. Everyone's going, oh wow, this is amazing, but it takes a lot of work. But it's that cultural shift and that belief. We started off with 13% of our, when we first launched the app, 13% of our people were unhappy, and they could have been for a plethora of things. And actually, 80% of them are non-work related. So my wife's taking the children back to Poland. The council have evicted us. So, okay, right, the council evicted you. We're going to rehouse you for the weekend. We're going to ring the council and find you somewhere to live. That's the service we're providing.
Amazing.
We're saving lives. People are going through really tough, dark moments. And then we could have, I'm unhappy because the store man in Chertsey gave me red gloves and I wanted blue gloves at the start of my shift. So, okay. Great. Why did you give him red gloves? He wanted blue gloves. Give him blue gloves.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I do get that. I mean, if you gave me a blue T-shirt, it wouldn't work. So I stand with the with the
guy.
Man who said that. Yeah.
I'll get you a special blue bit of PPE made up just for you, mate.
I'm going to get you a blue Arsenal shirt, made properly, specially made, and shipped to your office.
Do you know what, Andy? I don't know if people know you as well as as I do, but from your LinkedIn profile, one, I now understand why you post so much because of those 19,000 pictures you've got to choose from.
I've just got a library every day. I can just go, that's good.
This one, that's great. So if anyone doesn't have Andy on LinkedIn, if you want a flurry of additional pals, then I'd suggest you add him. But I was going to say that pride and enthusiasm for what you do, I think genuinely comes through. And again, I don't know if that's that common for lots of people in our sort of sector to be that transparently really enthused about what they're doing. I think it's really nice, really refreshing.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's all right.
Henry, you wanted to talk fatbergs, so
my favourite subject.
Oh, fatbergs.
Yeah, well, I mean, we couldn't really speak to you and not talk about fatbergs. I feel just, it's occupational hazard. But you and your teams were quite key, really, for breaking the Whitechapel fatberg story and helping us run with it. And I think that's led to Unblocktober in lots of ways, which I thought might be good just to touch on that. So, I mean, yeah, from fatberg, it's amazing how much this story has run and run and run. And is now, fatbergs are spoken about all over the world. It's got global.
Well, it's heard in the nation took off. Yeah.
Did you, when your teams were sort of unearthing that Goliath one in Whitechapel and the others, I know that's just one of many. Did you know what was going to come?
No, it was. I was in true story. This not many people know this. I was on holiday in Portugal.
Oh.
And I was lying on the sunbed, and I've got my MacBook on the end of the sunbed, and I've got Field View open, which is all these 19,000 photographs coming in. And that famous fatberg picture literally all the live pictures come in, so you can see kind of job statuses. And I was just tracking. I periodically look at times of the day how we're doing in terms of productivity. So are we on our expected number at midday and 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock.
Naughty boy for doing that on holiday.
Yeah, no, it was just quick look, and I just literally opened the Mac, and this picture came across of this fatberg in a sewer, and I thought, oh my god, and I screen grabbed the picture and sent it to Stuart White, and Stuart went, this is amazing, and then obviously when we got into the job, we could see all these other photographs of the fatberg, and yeah, that was as long as so many double-decker buses and hundreds of tons, wasn't it? And the Stuart and the guys should be heavily should get a heavy accolade for what they did, and the media team in terms, because that went viral. I haven't got the stats on the social media, but it was big. It was a billion impressions on Twitter. Every country in the world, Saudi Arabia TV, America, the Ukraine, Poland, every country wanted a media interview. It just went viral, didn't it?
It did, yeah. I remember being around in the office for that, and it was pandemonium for the team I was going to say for weeks, but for months, really, wasn't it? And how have people responded to it on social media? Because you still get reference, right?
Yeah, it's still reference. I joined Thames a few months after, so I missed that initial bit. But obviously, as Andy says, anyone that has spent 5 minutes with Stuart will have heard about it, because he will put that into every conversation he possibly can, and probably rightly so. But it's still talked about, that word fatberg. We were actually looking, because Andy, obviously, I head up Thames' media, so we were looking at kind of successful hashtags, because as we're planning the next stage of Bin It, Don't Block It and Unblocktober, we were looking at actually what works, and actually things like Bin It, Don't Block It, customers don't use those terms, but fatberg, everyone uses fatberg and fight the fatberg and stuff like that. So we've definitely seen that word is just, people know what it is straight away, whereas actually sometimes Bin It, people are still, they're not quite sure what you mean. But with fatbergs, they know exactly what that means. Don't put your fats and oils down the sink, and don't, flush your wet wipes and all that kind of stuff. So it's amazing. It's a real, we talk about behavior change a lot, Henry, don't we, at Thames? And that word has helped a behavior change. So no, it's the reaction is still as big as it was.
I think
it's a massive, if we didn't have people abusing our network, I think the statistic, I'm just looking for it on my computer here, but it's about 82% of blockages are caused by fats and oils, grease and wipes, and things that shouldn't actually be going down the sinks and the toilets there. So it is a big issue. We've come a long way in terms of our network protection team now are going into high streets and having conversations around educating customers, restaurant owners, and fast food outlets. As Akhil said, the Unblocktober campaign that we launched 2 years ago is making a big difference, and Fatberg as a hashtag is really putting it front and center of people's minds. I think the important thing for me now is the educational piece around schools and colleges and universities and younger children, and getting them into the habit of their behaviours that then enact their parents' behaviours.
Yeah, we certainly find that with our education program. You've got the yuck factor. Kids love anything disgusting, of a certain age. So if you can capture their interest with something a bit disgusting and toilety, that you then capture that sort of pester power to take it home, don't you?
Yeah. Not just kids, Henry. I mean, we a lot of our most successful social media posts over the last few years have been the yuck factor. So it's adults as well. It's when we saw, I think in lockdown, at the start of lockdown, we had one in Croydon, and I remember those images just got pickup. I guess people were at home more and stuff, so they were more online. But people just love all that, and actually, that's what resonates with people. People are thinking, "Gee, that to happen near me, so I bet, sort of not do what I'm not meant to do and stuff like that." And we're obviously, we're working in the next few months about alternatives and things like that to really help people. So, yeah, that yuck factor, I might need to get in on those 19,000 images, Andy, actually, because they definitely work.
I can seriously open that up, and you can access it live if you drop me a line.
Yeah, we'll do. Dreamy. I think awesome. The thing it got me is, at certain points we had Fatberg the musical, we had an exhibition at the Museum of London, we had the Fatberg autopsy. All of it. We were doing our sort of promo and with our Bin It campaigns and stuff, and I think it seemed to really capture that. It sort of personified the Fatberg in a way that lots of people don't really think about what they're flushing or down the loo or down the sink, and obviously from our side, that's a big part of the problem for blockages and then for pollutions. But
we had Greg James, didn't we? James in a and he put a Radio 1 flag in the Fatberg, didn't he?
He claimed it, didn't he? Yeah.
Awesome stuff has gone on, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's sort of taking stock of that. It's just mental, really, how far that went.
The media, and that's what you actually stimulated us to think about education. So we got our marketing team together a couple of years ago and came up with the Unblocktober. We registered it with the government. So we got Unblocktober.org is registered as a national awareness campaign, and it's our second year this year. So
how's it going so far?
Yeah, I was just going to say I've got some stats here. So 6,607 businesses have signed up this year in 2020.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's good. Another 1,478 individuals. That's over 8,085, and another 1,381 users to the subscription list. And yeah, we've got a lot of companies involved. The website design is up and running. It's all branded as Unblocktober. This is about us trying to put something back into the hearts, communities, protecting local rivers and wildlife, caring for our environment, just raising awareness. It's just another medium or media of showing that we care and raising that. So most of the water companies have been very proactive. The Rivers Trust, DEFRA, the Environment, British Water, Marine Life and Conservation. So yeah, there's a lot of supporters that are out there really, really backing this, and people care about it, right?
Yeah.
I think what you've done by making it a standalone kind of month of action, effectively, you've done what we sometimes struggle to do. I think is that you can pick up on the stories that aren't directly related to what if we were Thames Water. So I see loads of stuff about different things on plastic pollution, even if they're not directly related to what's flushed. It's just forming that connection between what we do in our daily life has an impact on the environment somewhere downstream, literally. And I sometimes they wheel me out to speak on Bin It stuff, and I was at a conference before lockdown, whenever that was, And I had someone else came up to me like, "Oh, I saw your Bennett thing. Like, have you heard of Unblocktober?" From like a Welsh local authority was saying like, "It's brilliant. You need to sign up to it." I had this little well of pride. I meant to say to you at the time.
Anything we can do collectively is going to make a difference. And interestingly, we're taking that to the next level. And I'll get you guys involved because I'm going to need you to really, really ride this home. But we've got our first responder van pack. So customer calls into the contact centre in Reading, the job's triaged or the customer's triaged, and then we decide what we do next. So we deploy an engineer, and those engineers go out in a van with a jetting machine in, and this, that, and the other. Our new vehicles are going to have an LED panel in the vehicle. So in the vehicle, it'll be a glass shatterproof screen with an LED panel behind that. So I'm going to need your guys' help, because what we can do then is with media, we can essentially geofence each vehicle and then send from HQ messages, banners. We can send, local Pride, Pride Week, or we can even use artificial intelligence to look at bespoke messaging by area, by street.
This is sounding a bit techie, Andy. This sounds really cool.
There you go. They'll be here in January. They're ordered, so there's 30 brand new vans en route being in build.
You can get right in the heart of the community, then, can't you, and relate to the audience in that community, which is probably the most powerful thing. Yeah, that's really good, and we're excited about that. Yeah. We've only got a couple of minutes now, so I know we've got to let you go, Andy. I guess the final question, and it's in two parts. So what are you most looking forward to when the pandemic is over? So I want you to give me two things, one from a work perspective, but also something from a personal perspective as well. And that it might be just go into a restaurant and not having to distance, I don't know, but it can be whatever you want.
Okay, yeah, the big thing for me in a work environment, I really miss the interaction with colleagues and the social cohesion and that bond. It's like I said to my guys, we've all got two families, and we've got our home family and our work family, and what we're doing with our work family actually is neglecting them. So we wouldn't not see our children or partners for since March. So 7-8 months. We wouldn't not see our children for 8 months. But we're doing that to our colleagues and cohort, and within our cohort, we are actually doing that. Yeah, we've got video calls. We're getting in a room, having a coffee, having some fun, talking about the future, projects, transformation, strategy. I really miss that, and I'm getting people. I've got quite a few people back in the office. We're socially distancing. We're wearing masks in the office now, but I do miss that collaboration and that speed. We're doing really well at BAU. We're not shooting rockets. We're not launching rockets at the moon enough. We're doing a little bit, but not moving at lightning speed. And
it's hard to do, isn't it? Yeah, without that just those softer interactions, it's harder to do.
Yeah. And then from a personal point of view,
it's got to be. I love. I'm a very simple guy. I hate flying, so I like to take off and land. So Portugal, Spain is my annual haunt, and I generally have three individual weeks a year just to break up the year, and I really, really, really miss that. Just that bit of sunshine, that bit of downtime, nice restaurants, a bit of a break. I miss it.
Yeah, but
what about you, Henry? Anything from personal? I mean, work-wise, I think it's going to be a very similar theme to Andy, isn't it? But
from a work point of view, very much the same. I think it's the absence of thinking about it. I'm quite good, I think, at managing my own kind of perspective on it and not being I'll dip in and out of Boris announcements and whatever else. But it's forever present there, isn't it? And I think whether we know it or not, that's kind of, there's just one little thing that you've always got kind of that you're spending some energy on, you're expelling some thought on it. And I think when that goes away, I think there'll be a big feeling of liberation and freedom, which maybe we can't quite appreciate what we're lacking at the moment, because life's, to varying degrees, normal, not normal, whatever at the moment, isn't it? But there's a constant presence there, and just at the moment there's some looming thoughts that the winter's probably going to be a bit crap for us all, isn't it? And but I think it's sort of an indirect, hidden sort of sense that I'm using some energy, some brain power, some emotion on something, and I think when that goes, that'll be lovely. What about you, mate?
For me, it's very simple.
Last
season, I did 57 live football games, including most Arsenal, a few England, a few women's games, a bit of Brentford because I live not too far. Obviously, this season I'm potentially on course to do 0, so that absolutely gets me.
It's heartbreaking.
Getting back to watch the Arsenal is definitely the thing I'm most looking forward to, because again, there's a family there as well, Andy. I've got 3 families in that case. I've got my family, I've got my work family, and I've got my Arsenal family, and that is a community.
But it is important. It's that whole, we all yearn for, inadvertently, a tribal instinct. We have this tribal instinct, and that resonates through hobbies and interests and people that are close to us and the way that we live. So it's actually, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how everyone comes out of this and whether there's any longer damage. But I think it's just going to be so euphoric when we get to norm, and we will do. We will get, we're going to get a vaccine. We're going to get rid of this virus. We're going to stamp it out. We'll get back to normal. And it's just a case of when. So there's that really good stuff to look forward to, and hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, that's a great place to end.
Really upbeat.
Henry, it's probably important just to note that if anybody has noticed, the third amigo is missing. Miles.
Did anyone notice?
I don't know if anyone noticed.
Nobody noticed. Miles who? Sorry.
We haven't fallen out. Miles couldn't make it. I think he was off this morning or something like that. So we don't know. We don't really
he
care.
sends his apologies.
He's fine though.
Bless him. He's the one that's been mindering me for months to get this set up.
That's the funny thing, because he's the one who organised it.
I would like to register. I would like to register my significant dissatisfaction. Miles, and ring him in a minute.
Yeah, we'll take that to him, and we'll have a meeting about it. Just to,
we'll pass on the feedback.
Perfect. All right, Andy, thank you for your time, for your stories, and just sharing your insight and stuff like that, and for being honest. I think it's, honesty is what brings these kind of to life. So yeah, thank you very much, and good luck for the sort of winter period, which I know is a challenge. So best of luck.
Honestly, guys, this was far more fun than I envisaged. I thought it was going to be just really good, interesting, really diverse conversations. Well, we've gone from fatbergs through to people and diversity and really wide. Really enjoyed your question and this something. And happy to come on anytime. There's always some great stuff going on in Thames. So yeah, just give me a shout. I'd more than be happy to join you guys again.
A happy customer that wants to come back. That seems weird.
Yeah, I think that's the first one, isn't it? Cool. Cheers, guys. See you again soon.
See you guys.